Hi everyone, and welcome back. Unless of course it's your first time here, in which case, welcome. Today we're going to discuss everything Supra. Now, we're not just talking about the Toyota Supra that's in production currently being built in Austria by the brand BMW, but the Supra in itself, from beginning to where we're at currently. The reason why I mention Austria and the BMW connection is because the most current Supra has caused a little bit of controversy as it came onto the market because it is essentially got the underpinnings of the BMW Z4. Not a bad car in any way, shape or form. However, as I said, the car enthusiasts were a fickle bunch, and obviously there's a little bit of controversy, and a debate is always good. A healthy debate is even better, and we have been debating amongst ourselves quite comprehensively since the Supra was released. However, we first got introduced to the Supra, or at least Toyota first introduced the Supra to the world back in 1978 with this beauty. I hope you can agree with me that that is an amazingly beautiful car, especially for the 70s. And the reason why I mention for the 70s is because the 70s also produced things like this, and this, and you may wish to cover your eyes, this. And that's when the love affair with the Supra started. But in actual fact, that wasn't quite a Supra. That was actually labelled a Celica Supra. Still had the straight 6-cylinder engine, which produced 123 horsepower out of a 2-litre engine. Now you're thinking 123 horsepower, that's just 100 horsepower plus a Michael Jordan. That's not particularly powerful. Well, shame on you, because anything Michael Jordan is the most powerful thing in the world. How you doing, goat? Minor tangent, I apologise, and back to the Supra. And since 1978, the Supra has been incarnated 5 times. And now, while all 5 incarnations of the Supra are special vehicles, in my opinion, one of them is especially well known, and that is the Mk4 Supra here. Now this car has been essentially burned into the craniums of every single car enthusiast because of the movie franchise Fast and the Furious. Or if you're watching from England, the Brisk and the Infuriated. In fact, the Fast and the Furious franchise didn't just make the Supra famous, but also made cool the name Brian. The current Supra, from the outside, looks just like a Supra. It's designed in a way where it gives a respectful nod to its heritage, and the shapes, the curves, the way it sits low slung to the ground, and the way it sounds with the straight 6 turbo is most amazing. However, in my opinion, it's the interior that unfortunately is slightly lacking. It's missing that amazing quirkiness and originality. I guess if we put it side to side, the Mk4 Supra with the most current, you can see that these two cars, while on the outside can be traced back to each other by way of lineage, on the inside, the most current Supra is not as quirky as it needs to be. It's not as futuristic, not as Starship-like, because you can kind of see from the Mk4 cockpit that you're almost the captain of the Starship Enterprise. Everything is hugging you and it's around you, and you're kind of embedded into the car itself, which unfortunately, in my opinion, is missing from the most current Supra. Now, that's not to say that the current Supra is not a wonderful car. It is. It's one of the most amazing vehicles, and if I had one, I suspect I'd be very happy with it. But I think Toyota can do a little bit better in its next reincarnation to make sure that the interior reflects that quirky, cool design that's on the outside of the most current Supra to be reflected in the inside of the Supra as well. So it's no good just having the lineage of the Supra on the outside and design it as beautifully as it needs to be, but not give that tip of the hat on the interior to the previous Supras of the past. Because for the most part, when the Mk4 Supra came out in 1993, it was a breath of fresh air and very original. The cockpit itself, the gauges, the gear shift, the steering wheel, even today looks very beautiful. And that's the reason why, if you wanted to buy a Mk4 Supra in good condition, you'd be paying almost exactly the same amount of money as the most current Supra, which is a brand new car. Now, I don't think Toyota have missed the mark. I think for them to keep the Supra lineage alive, they needed to produce something now. And to develop a car that's going to be very bespoke, that's going to be catering to a very niche market in very low numbers, it probably didn't make that much commercial sense for them to develop a new 6-cylinder engine in line 6 with perhaps a turbocharger or two, and a new interior and a new factory that's going to pull it all together. Now, perhaps the costs were a little bit too prohibitive, and therefore Toyota chose this particular avenue to give us the most current Supra, which is a great thing because we still have a Supra to purchase, at least those of us who are in the market for one. And there's even a little bit of a cheaper version now, which is the 2-litre turbo that comes with around 250 odd horsepower. But again, a Supra should always have the inline 6-cylinder. Inline 6-cylinder, not the V. And for that reason, I think the current Supra, at least in my opinion, still looks beautiful. I'm glad that it exists, and I thank Toyota for providing us with the option to get one, and I hope that the next reincarnation will have the quirkiness of the Mk4 Supra and its predecessors before it. Now, if you're interested, the current Toyota Supra comes in two guises. The first one is a 2-litre turbo, and the second one is the 3-litre turbo with 4 and 6 cylinders respectively. You may be able to put a deposit down on something called the Fuji version, which is not to do with the Apple, but actually the mountain. However, there's only 45, so I very much doubt that it's possible to buy one of those because of the limited numbers. However, that's only the 2-litre version, and the 3-litre version doesn't come in a Fuji version. You can actually get the 3-litre version in the Pro guise. And that was a quick whistle-stop tour of the Toyota Supra throughout the years, culminating in what I think about the most current version. In the coming weeks and months, I will actually do a drive of the most current Supra in the 2-litre and the 3-litre versions to be able to give you a comprehensive overview as to the handling of the car itself. But should you wish to go out and buy one now, I would say it's probably a good idea. Let's support Toyota in their endeavours to produce sports cars, because the more we can support it, the more they're likely to produce them. And that brings me to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you.